Hey everyone, Mike, and I'm back with my 1977 Corvette. It is back to orange. I'm not sure if any of you saw it. I'll post a picture right now of the wrap that I had on it. But after we installed this 355 425 horsepower engine, we had to pull the wrap. Well, the fenders, as much as you protect them, they just get scuffed and smudged and scraped, and it just did not help the rest of the car's appearance. So anyway, what this video is about, let's get right to it. Sorry about that. What this video is about is this new engine built by a hot rod company came with this die-cast Holley one feed carburetor, and when it arrived from Washington to here in Jacksonville, Florida, it needed a little bit of tuning on the choke and fast idle. Well, unlike the Quadrajet, it was a little bit more confusing to me. I'm very thankful for the electric choke, and today I want to talk to you about how I fixed the issue with the hard start with the choke flap basically being wide open. First things first, you want to you have the negative and a positive on an electric choke, okay? So it's very simple. There's a metal coil, and if you have an older electric choke, you want to disconnect the positive wire, and you want to pull all three of those screws and check to make sure that that coil is engaged. Obviously, if it's not engaged, then this choke rod is not going to help close this flap, and it's not going to do the job. Second thing, put the car into ignition and test the voltage of your constant positive, okay? So it should be a keyed on ignition, and it should show right around 12 volts. Mine showed like 12.5. That's all right. So where did I get that positive? Well, you could tie it into your own fuse block, of course, or you could tie it into, at least on the 77, the yellow wire on the wiper motor is a great source that a lot of guys with C3s tend to tap into for ignition sources only, not for continuous power. So it is a well-circuited or well-fused item, and it's no problem. So that's what I use. So today I had great voltage on this, so okay, I left that disconnected. I loosened all three of these screws because I'm about to make an adjustment. I want to note one thing, okay? So on the face of this, it says, it's at the bottom, it's hard to see, but it says lean, and it has an arrow, and it goes this way. So clockwise is lean. Let's see, right over here. Okay, so what I wanted to do is, of course, get that choke plate a little bit more closed, so I started to rotate it. In this case, I started to rotate it a little bit more rich. And if you notice, a good starting point is right in the center there. You see that little notch? Yeah, that's a good starting point. It'll close the flap all the way here in Jacksonville, Florida on a day. No starts. It's about 75 degrees. Almost 80, excuse me. So you can see the notch right there matches the notch there, and that was the point where it had just closed the flap all the way. I did start this car before, so excuse me, the flap's not going to be all the way closed, but it had just closed the flap, and I'm like, okay, so if I were to go one notch to lean, the flap opened up. So I put it right there, and what that's going to do is the flap is not going to stay closed very long. With the temperature out here, that flap's going to start to open pretty rapidly. I would say in 3 minutes I was already this far open. Next thing you want to do is, along with the choke, this system is directly related to fast idle, which is where people get hung up the most on questions. So this is your fast idle cam right here. Okay, and as you can see, we're gonna point over there, you can see there's that tan part. Well, that tan part has a little screw. It's the one right here. Okay, so that little screw pushes on the cam. My screw was all the way in, all the way tight, which means it was putting a lot of stress on that cam. Well, that cam could never drop and reset. And if you were to pull this apart, the cam has a series of steps. And those steps are what help bump down the idle. Okay? So as the car warms up, that idle starts to drop. If you were to blip the gas when it's all the way warm, then that cam completely drops open and the car idle goes back down to where you set it at, which for me, I wanted 800. Okay, so once you set your choke, tighten all 3 of these screws, okay? Ensure, of course, that that is not connected, just to make sure that there's no grounding condition. However, if the key is off, you shouldn't have any problems. So we're gonna tighten these. And then what you're gonna wanna do is take that high-speed idle screw that I showed you and back that out, or loosen it rather, about halfway. That's a good starting point. For me, that equaled just at 1,000 RPM. Now, ideally, engine builders recommend that you increase that to about 1,500 RPM. So basically your warm-up process is at 1,500. It's going to quickly warm up your engine, and then you blip the gas and you're off to the races. So for me, I've got it set at 1,000 because that's just what I want. I don't want it to make too much noise in the morning. I do live in a homeowners association, so I've got that set halfway out, and it was perfect. It met it like the middle step of that cam right here, and my choke directly controls this cam, which all that screw is doing is pushing on. It's being held by whichever step this is. So it's going to hold your idle right off the bat. One pump of the pedal, that cam sets on that wherever you have it set at, which for me is that middle step. And then until the engine's warmed up and you blip the gas again, it will not lower the idle. Okay? That is the high-speed idle, and thank you for watching.